Okay, influencers booked for obscenity. I want to raise some big questions. Is the government overreacting? Does obscenity fall under free speech? Should there be regulation or censorship, as some would call it, of digital content? Should it go unregulated? Let me go to two guests I'm joined at the moment. Sanjay Sahai is a former IPS officer, has looked at cyber security, and Apar Gupta is advocate and director, Internet Freedom Foundation. Also joining me is Rahul Ishwar. He's a Hindu activist, and I want to come to each of you one by one for your first comments. Rahul Ishwar, let's turn to you. Do you believe that the government should be acting against these YouTubers, be booking them, or do you believe that this is complete overreaction?
Absolutely no, Rajiv sir. Strong action needs to be taken. I was one of the first complainant, and Mumbai's Joint Police Commissioner Satyanarayan replied to me and forwarded my complaint to DCP of Mumbai. I'll see to it that an action is taken, because this is unforgivable. I'm a Hindu right-wing activist. I have all the sympathies with Veer Biceps, who is a center-right person. But ethics is something we cannot compromise on. Whether we belong to left, right, or center, Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, doesn't matter. We all should be united in this. Family and faith are something that are absolutely
but one minute. He's apologized. He's made a remark. Look at, isn't it an overreaction? I mean, all of you want FIRs to be filed. You want him to be arrested next?
Rajiv sir, please remember, we have to create an example. I am father of two children. I am worried for their psychological health. One of my child want to be a YouTuber. He's only young right now. Had he been 15 or 16, what kind of content he will be consuming? And you may remember, I was, in spite of being a Hindu right-wing activist, I filed a case against Satvi Prachi for her Islamophobic comments. We are all responsible citizens of India first. And there are some Lakshmana Rekhas no one should cross.
Okay,
and
family values is what we... Oh, okay, one minute. Family values is what we are hearing, Apar Gupta. It brings to focus, and that's why I made it the top story. At the heart of it is, are there lines to be drawn when it comes to free speech? Do you believe that this is a restriction? An obscene remark made on a YouTube show should immediately lead to FIRs being filed and those involved being booked in the manner they are? Does it reveal in a way the way we approach this YouTube world in a sense?
So Rajdeep, I have 2 points to make. Firstly, there are boundaries to free expression, and these boundaries quite often should be on the basis of how does that speech actually result in real world harm. And this is why, if you look at quite often hate speech, which does lead to violence, there are clear requirements, even under international human rights law or all over the world, or even in America, where they say there's absolute free speech, there's a restriction on what is called as fighting words. The second point I want to make is that what we are noticing is a level of moral outrage. It is a social panic, because it is not only this show, it is how much people have started relying on YouTube and have been watching it for long periods of time. And we are overreacting. We are losing a sense of proportionality. Look, there has been an offensive joke which has been made on a very popular show. There is a social reaction and a social outrage, and there will be financial impacts in terms of loss of sponsorships, in terms of loss of audience and reach. And there is already apologies by many people there. They have discovered, is this fit for legal prosecution, criminal investigation, given the amount of resources we have? Police not being able to investigate daily crimes of theft, murder, and pickpocketing. And I will stop here with my initial comment.
Okay, let's turn to the police officer, Mr. Sai. The police surely has better things to do. There are lots of real criminals out there whom the police needs to track. Here they seem to be going after these YouTubers, almost being driven by the social media outrage. Should social media outrage result in FIRs being filed?
I'll start with your opening remarks. And your opening remarks were whether there is duplicity and hypocrisy in our legal system, and how well and how badly do we use our legal system. There's absolutely no denying the fact that there is duplicity, there is selection, and in the nature of way crime is implemented and the law is implemented and it is executed and taken through the process. So that's point number one. Point number two, before getting into the police's time or lack of time or capability or expertise to get into matters of this kind, the community guidelines of YouTube very clearly says that there should not be hate speech and explicit sexual content.
So shouldn't it have been YouTube? So shouldn't the responsibility have been on YouTube in the first instance?
If the YouTube does not react, it cannot be left to the wild that nobody reacts on it. And if YouTube does not react, who will bring YouTube to book? YouTube does not fall under your area of responsibility or legal area of responsibility. YouTube also is supposed to, as per their guidelines, to factor in local laws. Whether local laws have been factored in or not, that's a different story altogether. The crux of the matter is the monetization of YouTube at a scale which is really mind-boggling. That from there the whole thing starts. We come to the legal and ethical boundaries of comedy. So these are the opening remarks from my side when coming to the police part of it. Just because there is a huge amount of outcry in the social media which is spilling over to the regular public.
No, Mr. Sai, my point is, has the police acted only because there is this social outrage? Otherwise, they wouldn't have acted. I mean, across this country, you have pornographic content being shared widely. No, I don't see the police acting in every case here because the social media outrage is there. There's a popular influencer. The police is being driven by that.
See, I'm not getting into the debate whether police has been acting in a very fair manner in literally all the cases. That is not my case. There has been no denying the fact that law has been selectively used. The powers that we have selectively used the police, and the legal processes cannot be told to be completely fair in the manner it is done. In this case, as in most of the other cases, when there is an outrage, the police react, police is somehow even forced to react. So the political leaders and the outrage, and there is an understanding that this will play against the political establishment or the governmental machinery or the society at large. And that is how we have come to this sort of a response.
Can I bring in Rahul Ishwar? Just the point that Mr. Sai made, there's a selectivity. I can give you lists of hate speakers in this country who get away. Some of them have even become MPs and MLAs in this country. I don't see the police landing out at their door. I don't see Rahul Ishwar filing criminal complaints against them. You're jumping up and down now saying family values have been violated. Yes, he made inappropriate remarks. Yes, the YouTube video has been taken down. What is the need to arrest people?
Rasif sir, yes, hate speech has been made and we should act against it. I have myself earlier made it clear. I have complained against Satvi Prachi and people of their sorts. Extreme Hindutva is not good for a nation. Similarly, extreme Islamism. We need to take action. But please remember, two wrongs don't make a right. Here, I admire, Allahabadia for his center right-leaning stance. I'm a Hindu right-wing activist myself. But there are some sacred cows that you should not violate. Some sacred vows that you should not violate. Family and faith is that. And he has crossed that cardinal line of invoking family. Even in his apology,
so
he said,
want him to be jailed for it? You want him to be jailed?
We want him an example so that the future YouTubers will not follow that line. Nobody is going to say that he's going to be jailed for 3 months, but some sort of model action that will be an example for others to follow should be there. He has lost 2 million followers and he will definitely have repercussions. Many people are cancelling
That's fine. He's losing followers. You're calling for penal punishment against him. I see you, as I said, many people in hate speech are in our parliaments and assemblies, which is unfortunate in my view. But Apar Gupta, Section 67 of the IT Act says punishment for publishing or transmitting obscene material in electronic form shall be punished on first conviction with imprisonment, which may extend up to 3 years, and a fine which may extend to 5 lakh rupees.
Yes.
Do you believe that this law is that the IT Act is the right way to go?
I think not only the IT Act but also the BNSS, which does contain the offense of obscenity, are not well suited to modern India. And this is not because I would say that people by themselves have changed. While the Supreme Court has changed the standard on how people should be prosecuted under the law and have made it more liberal. According to the Supreme Court in 2014 in a Avik Sarkar judgment, they said that Boris Becker appearing in a magazine shoot with his naked wife does not constitute obscenity because it needs to be judged by the contemporary prevalent social standards, and if female nudity in pregnancy by itself is being depicted, it is not obscene. So the intent needs to be taken into account. The second thing I would just like to say is that when we look at how people are receiving most of their media diet, however they are watching, for instance, even if this show is they're watching it most possibly on their mobile phones, a smartphone, or on an OTT streaming device, and they can very quickly switch away from it. These laws are remnant of a time when there were a limited number of books, but only For instance, you could find a wider collection in a library, for instance. You could only watch 10 to 20 television news programs. Today, you have the facility of just clicking, switching a tab, flicking your finger, and coming to something else. I would like to remind people, it was only 10 to maybe 14 years ago, where all of us were engaged in the same cyclical moral outrage around a very popular Punjabi singer called Honey Singh. There were obscenity cases filed against him. And even at that time, it was being said that social boycott would be the best outcome if we as a society decide that something is indeed offensive, because it differs from person to person, Rajdeep. What is offensive for one person is content for the next one.
You know, there are those, of course, who will believe that the right to offend is part of the right to free speech. But Mr. Sai, does the police really keep up with the times? As Apar pointed out, there are now millions of YouTubers out there. They are sending out all kinds of videos out there. Is the police really in a position to define what is obscenity and what is not?
See, police need not define obscenity. Obscenity is defined in law. And police will go with whatever is defined in law. And which is finally, it talks about obscenity is anything that corrupts or depraves public morality. Now, this is a subjective thing. Police, as per the powers it has, based on the FIR which is registered, will investigate the case and put it to the court of law based on the evidence available. It will charge sheet the case if the evidence is available. If the evidence is not available, it will not be charge sheeted, and it will go through judicial scrutiny. What all of us are trying to do is that we want the case not to happen.
I'm not saying case should not happen. Apar Gupta has made a good point. Socially boycott him. That's a better way. You have a problem with what he has said, don't watch it. Just socially boycott him.
That's perfectly
unfollow
fine.
him.
I am 100% with Apar Gupta. That if you don't want to watch, you don't watch, and I don't watch. But the point is, if there is a complaint which comes to the police is duty bound to take that complaint. And once registered, it becomes the first in.
Yeah, but you know, the problem is the police is very selective in when they act and when they don't act.
I'm not denying the fact that police is selective.
Yeah, but you admitted that the speed with let me just raise that to you there, Rahul Ishwar. Why not if you feel so strongly, socially boycott him? The point is this penal action, getting the police into the act, going there, arresting him, summoning him, all of this is intended to almost create some kind of a chilling effect.
No, two submissions. One, like Pop once said, this extreme relativism is the greatest danger of our times. You cannot have this extreme relativism, which will in effect lead to nihilism. We need to have some sort of standards and guidelines and Lakshmi Rekhas. We cannot live in an anarchy, and nobody can crack parents and sex and that's kind of a joke in one sentence. That is absolutely offensive. Please remember, can I use the same arguments against hate speeches? If you don't like a speech, don't listen to it. No, hate speeches poison the mind of the people and can lead to violence. Similar perversion can poison the mind of youngsters and lead to other very consequential negative actions. So let us be honest about it. Any kind of perversion or hate speech is unacceptable. Family and faith are two Lakshmi Rekhas no one should cross.
All I will say is I believe that our police surely has better things to do. They're already overstressed, overburdened. There are surely hundreds of other things that the police could do than start chasing up YouTube videos. Yes, what was said was inappropriate, unfortunate. The man has apologized for it. You don't like him, socially boycott him. Do you really need to send the police to hound him? Is the question that I raise. I'll leave it there. I appreciate my guest joining me on my top talking point there.